We are live in Bridgewater. We are live in Bridgewater. This is the first time that I'll be speaking in Bridgewater. And maybe I'll wait a second for some of you guys to hop on here. All right, so we are live here in Bridgewater. The meeting is starting at 7 o'clock. Hello.
Hello.
We got 2 camera stands happening here. 2 cameras going. Let's see. All right, let me just get a couple shots here. All right, so what's up, y'all? So it's just WATERPIPE. We are live here in Bridgewater. We have a council meeting at 7 o'clock. Now, at the council meeting, the reason why I'm here is because a North Plainfield resident was charged $15,000 for fire and biohazard cleanup because he got into a car accident. Well, you guys will see how this goes. Somebody got into a car accident and they ran into a tanker truck, and the officer here in Bridgewater was courageous and did a heroic act and wound up saving the guy's life, most likely. Pulled him out of the vehicle after a horrible wreck here on Route 22. And he wound up, Dave, what's up, brother? Dave from Massachusetts. We are live here in Bridgewater, brother. And we are here to speak about the fact that Bridgewater, this township, has an ordinance where if you have like excessive cleanup, like fire, biohazard materials, you can be fined up to $15,000. And a North Plainfield resident, North Plainfield, where I'm from, where I'm running as an independent candidate, right? Might as well start helping out the people now, man. I've been helping out people all across the state. So certainly we want to help out a resident in North Plainfield. They were charged $15,000 for excessive cleanup of biohazard material. And I think that's wrong. I personally think that's wrong. That's not the America that I know. That's not the America that I recognize. It's not the America that I understand. If this gentleman happened to have been, let's just say he was drinking and driving under the influence, caused this accident that required the township to have to clean up the biohazard material, the tanker caught on fire when he crashed into it and he became unconscious. And the actions of the officer were heroic and courageous for him to be able to pull the gentleman to safety. So it was a great look for the township, great look for Bridgewater. And what they wound up doing after he went to court, he pled guilty for improper lane change and failure to wear a seatbelt. After that went through the court, there's an ordinance here in Bridgewater where they charged him $15,000. They charged a citizen $15,000 to foot the bill for this cleanup. Like, This is not the America that I know. This is not the America that I recognize. This is not the America that I understand. So we're going to go here. We got 3 minutes, I believe. It's 3 minutes. I think public comments is in the beginning. This meeting is starting at 7. Everybody smash that fucking like button. We're going to give this council hell. Well, we're going to be respectful. We're going to be polite, right? Since I am under the authority of my own agency, most likely they're not going to take very well to that. You've seen how these councils have been. I was worried my wife was going to be charged for damaging a guardrail. Yeah, $15,000. $15,000 after this gentleman got into an accident. Now, again, if he was drinking and driving, right, like premeditation to break the law, I wouldn't be here. I would think, yeah, it's a hell of a fucking bill to foot, 15 grand, but I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here fighting for somebody who broke the law in that sense, where they put other people's lives in danger and at risk by getting behind the wheel under the influence. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about an accident. An accident. In what world does an accident correlate to a $15,000 fine from an ordinance to clean up fire and biohazard material? Oh, and the person on the video said the tanker truck was empty. So, oh, I see a police officer. Let's get both cameras going. Hey, how you doing, officer?
How are you?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Council meeting in here?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, let's grab an agenda. Excuse me, officer. Do you know, is there like a sign-in process to speak, or do they just call people up? Or?
First one I've been.
Oh, okay.
But I'll get the info for you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's a sign-in sheet over there somewhere for public comments and stuff. Thank you. Oh, there is. Okay, thank you so much. Sign-in sheet on the table, the one red. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna pull these cameras down so they're not in the way of residents.
Oh, on it.
All right, so we're sitting up front like we always do. Meeting will be starting shortly. What time is it? 6:57, so meeting should be starting in about 3 minutes. So get some of the comments. Yeah, smash that like button. Helps the algorithm. If you guys have not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. And we will get on with it in a minute. Turn this around. And the tanker truck was empty, yes. Let's see.
So,
Yes.
do you know you can the whole meeting is recorded. You can download it all for YouTube if you don't want to record it yourself. You just have that option.
No, I definitely want to record it. That's why I have 2 cameras.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, though. All right, so already they're a little worried about the cameras. Cameras equate to accountability. That's all it is. Cameras shouldn't scare anyone. You can't go anywhere without cameras being all over buildings and stuff. But the second that a citizen shows up with a camera, it's a problem. Yeah, the hand accountability. That's the first time that's ever happened. You guys have known all the meetings I've been to, all the different townships across the state. I've never had anybody let me know that it's being filmed and I don't have to film. Like, okay, it's being filmed. Let me just shut off my cameras. These cameras are accountability. That's all it is. You strive for transparency and accountability. Cameras shouldn't scare anyone. But she was being nice. She was just letting me know. So we'll take that for what it is. check this out. There's number 9 is public comments. So we have a couple things to go through.
Okay.
We'll pull up we're starting.
You ready, Suzanne? Now you're ready. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on December 5th, 2025, by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Breeze, posting on the website and bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the municipal clerk. Roll call, please.
Councilman Buckle?
Here.
Councilwoman Eastler? Yeah. Here. Councilman Crush?
Here.
Councilman Green?
Good evening here.
President Gallagher?
You. We now stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from March 5th, 2026, regular session?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Down to the council reports. How about you, Councilman Green? I've never had you start before.
Okay. Thank you. Just a couple items. I had a meeting last week with the administration for first look at the proposed 2026 budget, and look forward to hearing more from the Finance Committee on that. Along with Council President Geiger, this afternoon attended a brief virtual presentation by some high school students who are looking to change the laws in New Jersey around lung cancer screening, particularly for first responders, and look forward to hearing more from them in the near future. And the last item I just wanted to put on the radar for the council. Recently became aware of a situation where resident had their home destroyed due to a fire. And the home is non-conform. It's pre-existing non-conforming, meaning it does not meet current zoning. The house was destroyed, so when they tear it down, that pre-existing condition goes away. And speaking to Alex at Mr. Corsini's office, potentially looking at an ordinance revision that would allow a resident whose home is destroyed due to a fire or other natural weather type events to be allowed to rebuild their existing home in the same footprint without having to go through a variance at a very high level. To me, it's a disservice to a resident if they now have the added hassle after losing their home of having to get a variance to rebuild. So,
I can all understand that. Yeah, thank you.
it's unfortunate it took a situation like this to be aware of it, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So we'll have more hopefully at the next meeting.
Thank you.
So a quick follow-up, I had thought in instances like that, it's typically interpreted if you're using even one foundation wall, that it's sufficient to be considered,
Yes.
still part of the original structure. Is that a nuance or is that not the case?
But if your house, you have a significant enough fire, and then everything in your like all the water accumulates in your basement from firefighting, debris, smoke, all of that, do you want to start fresh or do you want to rebuild?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you're saying in a situation like that, even one foundation wall may not be viable? Okay.
Just due to the nature of the fire, the damage. Each situation is different, but
Understood. I'll go second. I never go second. I attended my first iftar celebration with Bridgewater, hosted by the New Jersey Attorney General, New Jersey State Police, and Homeland Security. This is a prayer and meal celebration whereby friends and families often get together to break the evening fast on Ramadan evenings. And next year, I'm hoping that some of the law enforcement officers from Bridgewater will join us. Members of the community and several religious leaders in town have expressed an interest in an interfaith fellowship. Anyone interested should contact Assistant Town Administrator Ralph working on that as well. Rwana and I attended the New Jersey League of Municipalities seminar. We learned a lot. We met the presenters who spoke very highly of our mayor and several of our Bridgewater policies, so that was nice. I want to thank the mayor and I want to thank Suzanne for the inclusion of many of the council's activities in the March bulletin, and I hope to have more council coverage in future bulletins. We have a very active council, and some of us, Ridwana and myself, not all of us, enjoy having our pictures taken more than others on the council. The generals, the Five Generals Tour has been rescheduled to this Sunday, March 22nd. Anyone interested in that should go to the Heritage Trail website where there's information and you can sign up. And finally, my fun historical fact for the 250th anniversary is the Van Horn House in Bridgewater at 941 East Main Street that was built in 1750. Is the owner, Philip Van Heusen, Philip Van Horn, was known for his hospitality, and the house was at some point called Congevial Hall. And I thought this was very interesting. He even at one point hosted British General Cornwallis for breakfast in 1777. And that is my report. Councilman Kirsch?
Yes, one item, Mr. Ring may have mentioned this on his list, but since he didn't, I will. Last Thursday evening, he was the dinner chair for a very successful 2026 Toast to Scouting Awards dinner, sponsored by Scouting America. So congratulations on a successful event. I was there introducing my friend who now lives in Warren Township, Nick Guzzo, one of the honorees, and Mayor Mensch was there introducing another of the nominees, Jen Lochran from our school board. So we had some good representation at that event. It was an enjoyable evening, and congratulations to Councilman Ring on an event well run and highly successful. And that's my report.
Congratulations.
Okay, Councilman Bucko?
Yes, thank you very much. Excuse me, the Finance Committee met with the administration the past two Tuesdays. I think we're making steady progress towards the budget. I believe it is due to be introduced in the scheduled council meeting after the 31st of March, and I think we're on track to get that done on time this year. Also, I had the pleasure of attending pasta night at the preschool place in kindergarten, which is at Temple Shalom on North Ridge Street this past week. It was a fun event for a good charity.
Councilwoman?
Sure, thank you, Council President. So on governance, as President Geiger already mentioned, we attended the budget conference. It was very nice talking to the experts, learning about some of the latest tools they're using. There is technology out there to help with some of our budget tracking. And then in the Finance and Budget Committee, as Vice President Bucko and I attended, we did meet with the CFO, the auditor, tax assessor, bond counsel, financial advisor. So I really appreciate their input so we can have this disciplined weekly review ahead of the municipal budget introduction to the public to ensure that every single one of our dollars is spent transparently and explained so that a 7-year-old would even understand where every dollar goes in terms of pennies and cents. And it really does need to align with our resident needs. And then after that Tuesday meeting, this past evening on Tuesday, I was actually at the planning board with a few residents were here, actually quite a few. We had a very detailed discussion with a lot of concerned residents, and the experts were there, the applicants were there. So, something just process-wise that I have to reiterate, that we need to make sure our process is aligned it's transparent, whatever we're presenting to the residents is aligned with what the board members are seeing. And really, it's about the long-term well-being of our neighborhoods. So, as we start, this was the first time I was hearing about these concerns, but we'll continue to communicate effectively. And then this week also, I actually joined some Somerset County elected officials for a working session with our current Senator Cory Booker. And it was really interesting. He brought up the affordability crisis, but really as an advocate for families in Bridgewater who are also feeling these rising costs. I want to make sure that we can all continue to work and raise our children here with some stability and opportunity. I've seen some, similar concerns from the BOE, from the budget meeting we went to the state conference. Everyone's mentioning these health insurance costs are number one reason for all of this, these issues. So I'm glad that at least our senators and other government leaders are really talking about how do we actually fix this issue so even the local level is not impacted by it. And then as you can see here, we've been trying to, we have our police department here, but overall I worked on some partnerships that keeps Bridgewater safe, united, and moving forward, as President Geiger already mentioned. I was honored to join the Office of Attorney General with the New York State Police and Homeland Security for their Ramadan Aftar, and specifically, I spoke directly with our Attorney General, Jennifer Davenport, about standing firmly against hate. That commitment actually coincidentally continued at that governor's residence iftar. It was at Drumwacket where Governor Mikey Sherrill and Lieutenant Governor Dr. Dale Calvo hosted their first iftar, inviting incredible volunteers. So there's so many people that have been doing this, but I'll name one, Shahnaz from the Eid Committee, for example, who coordinated over 70 crescent moon lightings and Ramadan events around the state. And I know we have our own events in Bridgewater, so I'm really excited to share that it's happening all around the state. And then the Lieutenant Governor actually was just here. I don't know if everyone went to the St. Patrick's Day event. We had the parade right here in Somerset County. We honored Irish traditions, a lot of great food, and the profound contributions of Irish immigrants. And it was really nice speaking to Lieutenant Governor about celebrating not just the history. All of these communities built something in New Jersey. They arrived with hope. They work with so much dignity, and we really want to celebrate everyone. So I'm glad that at the state level, they see that same type of direction we're looking at it locally. The most exciting event for me was actually something very new. It is Women's History Month, if everyone is aware of that. I think Vice President Bucko mentioned it last time. So there was an event I was invited to, hosted by our Bridgewater entrepreneurs. So Womania was hosted by Sejal and Frenny from Twin Trail. And this was Bridgewater's, I think, one of the very first South Asian business leaders showcasing their innovation, economic strength. They brought in other people, again, just naming a few, Ruchi, Mita, and even an artist, Apra Jita, whose work is actually currently featured at New York City's Affordable Art Fair. So it's very exciting that this small group of women, they're just, in Bridgewater, that live in Bridgewater, that have kids growing up in Bridgewater, they're showing us how women are leading in the country, in other states. They're creating and building our local economy at the same time. And to end this, I also want to recognize another volunteer I met recently, Dr. Gupta. He actually is trying to promote diversity and service during Ramadan. So he physically coordinated donations from that new supermarket, Patidar, and donated them to not just our local mosque, Al-Falah, but all throughout the state. And he joined the communities in prayer. And I was able to join him in helping with that donation. So I really appreciate these types of very nice altruistic acts. And I really appreciate everyone else that I might have missed for showing up for one another across all these different levels of government, across sectors, and across all these cultures. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
President, if I may ask a follow-up question, there was reference to the planning board. I don't recall a comment on what the case was. Can you report that, please?
Yeah. So I think we're just allowed to mention like it was a subdivision hearing.
Well, I think you're probably permitted to state anything that was said publicly.
The agenda had an error in it.
It was 1222 East, the Great Mark property.
Okay. All right, because the only, first of all, I think it's terrific that you are our representative, and I'm sure you're learning the role and doing a great job. It bears noting, though, that, I was a representative on the planning board for 4 of the last 6 years. Mr. Ring was for 2 of those years. I was on the zoning board 6 years before that. The comments about transparency and thoroughness and fairness and everything else, that is not new for 2026, just so that there's no miscommunication. That's been the way those boards have operated for years. And as it relates to the planning board, every member other than the council change is exactly the same. So, I think it's great that you're bringing your own perspectives and appreciate the time that takes. But the spirit that you referenced is one that thankfully we've had for many years across both of our land use boards in Bridgewater.
Yeah, and I appreciate those comments, and specifically, this was concerning letters the residents currently received from the applicant that had a lot of errors in it, so they did come and present to us, all night. There were errors in the agenda, so I just want to make sure that every time I'm looking at the planning board package, it is representative of what we're listening to, and there's no miscommunication there. So it was very specific to this specific Tuesday meeting that we had.
I like to think that every applicant that comes before the planning board is doing things the way we all want them to. Unfortunately, different applicants handle things differently. And Councilman Kirsch mentioned I spent 2 years on the planning board, and I'll tell you that much like the council meeting, the planning board, you typically get your packet that Friday beforehand delivered to your house, and I always took that time to look at the packet ahead of time, and as well as go out and actually visit sites, because I think sometimes people present one thing, and when you actually go out and look at it in person, you see different things. So.
Yeah, and again, a lot of us did go look at the place the day of, but again, the residents brought up, it's very different when rain happens, flooding issue happens, so I did promise the residents I'll go there when it rains again to see what this lake, as they called it, looks like. But thank you for your comments, I really appreciate it.
Worth mentioning on a different note, when Councilman Bucko was talking about the introduction of the budget, normally our next meeting would be on April 2nd, which is Holy Thursday, the eve of Good Friday. So the meeting is actually scheduled for the second week in April on April 9th, for the public's benefit.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that the administration was kind enough to invite me to a meeting to go over the budget, and I really appreciated it as well. So I think all of us have been briefed on the budget at this point, correct? Councilman Kirsch, because you were briefed too, right?
Correct.
So all of us have.
If I could also just mention that on the St. Patrick's Day parade in our neighboring town of Somerville, when the Lieutenant Governor was able to join the community, he was actually the acting governor at that particular time. So it was nice that he was able to take the time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule to join our greater Somerset County community.
Thank you.
Administrator Pappas, do you have a report for the mayor?
Yes, I'd like Chief Misak, if he could come forward to speak a little bit about the Citizens Police Academy that started tonight. And then I'll have 1 or 2 other comments.
What coming forward, I have something for Lieutenant Edwards.
We have it electronically. We just want to give it to the fire department.
Yes, I'm a paper person, so I assume other people might be.
So tonight we started our 4th Citizens Police Academy. It's an interactive, informative, and sometimes eye-popping curriculum where we talk about patrol operations, investigations, use of force, crashes, technology. So it's an 8-week course. Council President Geiger attended that, so she's well aware of what we do. Tonight we're talking about the U.S. Constitution, which gives us our powers as police officers and everyone's rights as U.S. citizens. So we're talking about that. The mayor joined us, made a couple brief remarks, and like I said, it's an 8-week course. And I welcome everybody to sign up the next time we have a class. We have 20 residents that are taking part.
Wow,
That's a big class.
it's a great course. There's another graduate in the back, Rebecca. That's on it. Yeah.
That's the third one, right? Version 3, fourth?
Class 2601.
It's getting more and more popular.
I love it.
Yeah, and I just want to comment, for those of you who don't know, I am an attorney, and I was incredibly impressed with the knowledge that our police officers have of the law. I kid them and I say I could have taken that course instead of taking criminal law in law school, probably learned more.
Thank you for that.
And next year, hopefully, it won't coincide with our council meeting, so we can, yeah, thank you.
And if I could, just, Council President, one more thing, just to elaborate on what Councilwoman Isla spoke about concerning the agenda for Wednesday night. I did a little further investigation the day after the planning board meeting, and the information that appeared on the agenda has been the practice to take that from the applicant's submission. And so we're not going to do that any longer. We will just cite the name of the applicant, the location, probably the relief that's being sought, but without any editorial commentary that may or may not be totally correct. That information it appeared on their application, it appeared on the notice that they sent to the general public, and applicants can characterize their application however they choose to. What matters most is the actual filling in the blanks of the actual application that will indicate the specific relief that's being sought, sections of the ordinance that you're seeking a waiver from or a variance for, and the narrative that was caused confusion is something that we now recognize will no longer be included on the agenda. So we think that moving forward, we won't have that problem.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay.
If I could, would you characterize that as a typographical error, or would it be more an incorrect characterization of the request?
I would not characterize it as a typographical error. Again, there was some time, a number of years ago, there were individuals on, I think, one of the land use boards that had suggested that there be more of a description, a summarization of the application for that board on the agenda. And what was determined at the time is to just take the actual verbatim comments the applicant included in their summary of the application, instead of creating a version that could be subject to debate as to whether it was accurate or not. And so I thought it would be best just not to include it. And if people want information about the substance of the application, you just can click on the button on the website and they can actually see the entire submission and not have the characterization that could be subject to debate.
Can the agenda indicate that the person can do that? So if someone's reading it, it does? Okay. So then, yeah, okay, so we're all covered. Perfect.
And this is all in the email blast that we put out that people are capable of signing up for the land use boards, correct?
Yes, but what I'm speaking of specifically is the actual agenda where someone can click on the content of that submission for that application. But certainly if they want to be added to the list to get the agenda, certainly it's a couple of clicks and you're there.
You're trying to eliminate the personal opinion.
Correct.
On the summarization of the art. Not that it's necessarily wrong, it's their interpretation or their opinion.
Correct.
Belief.
And what really matters is not the narrative, because that is a narrative. It is a summary. It is not the specifics of the relief that's being sought or the specifics of whether it's a site plan approval or a subdivision. The narrative is really narrative. It's not substantive, and it doesn't really go to the substance of the actual application. Hope that clarifies it.
Anything else? Okay, we do not have any proclamations or any presentations. Meeting will be open to the public. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will have 3 minutes to speak, which may be extended in the discretion of the council president. An additional minute will be allotted for responses to comments from the dais. And I do have a further comment about that. I would like to remind all public speakers that pursuant to our council bylaws, it is incumbent upon every public speaker to be, quote, cooperative, courteous, and respectful. In regard to that, in my opinion, it's very hard to suggest that name calling or ad hominem arguments are such. However, in the interest of free speech, I will avoid curtailing such behavior to the extent that it is reasonable. I suggest, however, that it is beneath the dignity of any person who comes before this governing body to engage in such behavior. This includes current or former elected officials, licensed professionals, and prominent members of the community. And this applies equally, in my opinion, to social media posts as well. So with that, I would ask anyone that would like to address the council to please come forward. We have a new policy, thanks to Councilman Ring. You sign over there and then put your name and address and then address the podium. And the first person is speaking, the second person who plans to speak can come up and sign. So in the interest of time, so we're not waiting for you to sign and write your address. Yes, can I have a motion to open for public meetings?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new procedures. Hang on.
You can also sign afterwards.
That's true. Then the council president would have to remember to remind the person to sign afterwards, although I think Councilman Reed would probably do a pretty good job of that. You're my person up here, you know. You're my person up here. Reminds me that, you know.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for all the information that you've provided. I had two sort of process-related questions and then one helpful suggestion. So I was pleased to hear that
State your name.
I'm sorry. Candace Ryan, Stangle Road, Martinsville. Thank you. I'm glad to hear, I'm very glad to hear, thank you, that the budget discussions are actively underway. But if you can give maybe a little bit more information on the anticipated timeline, because this is only the beginning part of the process. So if the next regularly scheduled meeting is April 9th, at which point I would guess that it's presented to you and to the public, and it has to be adopted by the end of April. So if you can provide at this point any clarification on whether the budget process will be included in regular meetings or a special meeting added in there for public input, I think it'd be helpful for us to just be able to anticipate and plan that.
Right now, we anticipate the budget will be on time. Okay. All right. We don't have any special meetings planned. However, it's a thought, and I will discuss it with the other, I don't know what the other council members feel, or what's been done in the past, but we had talked about potentially having a workshop. It's just hard with the new council, knowing how to do things. But there's always the potential to have a special meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think just because your regular meetings are full, and depending on what comments or issues are raised by the budget, that just might add extra burden to the regular meetings. So I'm just thinking that, I mean, back in the day, the department heads would come and do also sort of a top line summary, and there would be plenty of exchange. If that's not practical or feasible, that's fine, but it may not be too early to think about a dedicated time for that.
Can I just make a comment on this? There's also a part of the process where, we do a first reading. It's essentially akin to an ordinance but with extra time required because it has to go to Trenton and they have to approve it. I believe the minimum on that is 4 weeks. I think we typically schedule 4 weeks, but I think it's possible that they may take longer.
Can you describe that again? So,
When municipalities approve a budget essentially on first reading, it then goes to Trenton.
When the budget is introduced,
the budget is,
council
I'm sorry, introduced, excuse me, I used the wrong word.
is really allocate the formal receipt the budget from.
exactly, and then that goes through the county to the state.
Well, it doesn't go to county, it goes to the state.
Well, I think via the county. But regardless, but I think it's, the adoption then is sort of parallel track, is it not?
Well, there's a minimum of 4 weeks between receipt of the budget and formal approval, the hearing and the formal approval.
If I may, it's 20 days from the time of introduction is the soonest it could be adopted.
Right, so the current guidance from the state has the 2 dates, deadline of March 31st or the regularly scheduled meeting after that to introduce, and then the April 30th date of adoption or I think the regularly scheduled meeting after April 30th.
It still has to be 20 days from the introduction.
Right,
So it would have to be 28 days from April 9th.
right,
Especially it's introduced.
right. So that's what I'm saying, the timeline might be useful to constitute this.
So it could be that the first meeting in May would be the evening for the public hearing and adoption.
That is exactly 28 days.
Assuming that we get it back from Trenton.
Right, okay. Thank you. The second question is, it's nice to see on the agenda that we have citizens volunteering and stepping up to the advisory groups and committees that you're going to be approving later on in the meeting. But I'm curious as to what kind of sort of feedback loop there is. In other words, I'm not aware of a mechanism where those groups can update the public on what they're doing or summary notes or what issues they're looking at or how, in fact, the cross-pollination of any related work exists. Depending on if there's a council member who happens to sit on one of those groups, then sometimes we get a brief update on that. But I couldn't find anywhere on the website where there's sort of a reporting out or summary every once in a while of what all of these groups are working on our behalf. Just wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it goes even further than that. These, as far as I know, some of them may have a chair and vice chair and so on, but some of them really don't even have that. So there's no organization. They do need more organization. I can tell you that we're trying very hard to revitalize some of these groups. I have a stack of applications. I believe you submitted one. Tonight, hopefully, we will finish with the council appointments. Then there's a series of appointments that the mayor has to make with the advice and consent of the council. There's a lot of issues with it. And when you're on this side of the dais, you start to realize how complicated it is. There's about 100 appointments.
Exactly.
All the people, it's a
and
lot.
When I think about the individuals who are contributing, I sort of feel like it'd be nice and beneficial to them to hear their collective work reported out, whether it's to council, also to the public. We have newsletters and things like other venues of communication, but with that many people participating, it'd be nice to sort of hear what everybody's working on from time to time. I understand that some things are trivial, but presumably each of these groups is meant to have a specific charge or focus that benefits the community. So it'd be nice, I'm thinking, to have that just be reported out from time to
Yeah,
time.
and I think we can work with that because we now, any person that gets appointed with a very rare exception that you'll hear about tonight, is submitting an application. And on that application is an email. And the beauty of an email is it's inexpensive. So what maybe we can come up with a plan, maybe I can talk to Grace about coming up with a plan, at least for the council appointments, to reach out from time to time on some type of regular schedule to the people that have been appointed, just to say, you know, if you want to come to a council meeting, or if you want to submit something, that we can advise the public that's going on, or just ask them, have they met? There is, and this is a whole other issue, there is a directory of all of the staff. There is a directory for the town, and the people that, the appointees to these various committees are in that directory. That directory is not public. There's reasons for it not being public, and we have to, other towns do make theirs public. So that is something I am looking into as well. You don't want everybody to know everything about everyone, but I think we have to work out a system where at least members of each committee can contact each other so they can meet and do and whatever.
Right, and for us, and for there to be a collective,
Feedback.
yeah, it just seems a bit disjointed, and for all of the work and time that these people put in, it'd be nice to have a collective feedback mechanism, I think, to at least the council, if not anything else.
Give me a year.
Third,
Well, I'm sorry, on that
Yeah.
point, briefly, you know, I've always been diligent in reporting out those committees that I'm on or have a
this is
relationship
not
with.
directed to any specific thing, but as an overall concept, and to your point, therefore, it's a bit uneven. So sometimes we understand what's happening with some of the groups, but some of the groups, we don't really understand their charge or what issues they're handling, during their meeting time.
I
That's all.
tell you, I'm
It was
just
not meant
learning
to-
myself.
Yeah, it was not meant to be a disparaging on anything, just an overall thing. Third thing is, while, just a small
We're
note,
way over the 3 minutes, so I know we're back and forthing,
yeah,
but there is, you know, something very important going on tonight.
especially when I'm listening online, it's just when you talk to one another and your head may swing a certain way, all the audio goes out. And so whether it's during discussion or whether it's something, it's, we can't hear everything, even though you're speaking publicly, if your head turns or, you know, you lean over to someone. So it's just a helpful suggestion because I've had to watch the last few meetings online and hopefully I'm not the only one who experiences that, that's all.
Yeah, but thank you for watching on.
You're right.
If we, make sure I'm talking into the microphone fully, now that you mentioned that, if we go back to the boards and commissions, I think that for starters, one thing that collectively we can do better is to ensure that the meetings of those are put on the township calendar, on the township website, so that if anyone is interested in attending, the information is out there. My understanding now is with the newly deployed website in the past month or so, it's easier to update for township staff. I hope that that will also mean that things like the updates of what the commissions or its committees are doing can also be updated and easily accessed going forward once they meet and have some output. I also expect that we will probably be asking some of them to do some work this year as they get into the swing of things and you know, the year goes on. So I think stay tuned for that.
And that openness I thought, thanks for the micro, but the openness on the internet is nice, even from one group to another, they can maybe collaborate together, so it's important for them to know what else is going on within all of our various groups, like the open space, I can already see them working maybe with other groups also getting started, so they're not all struggling with the same exact issue at the same time.
Ms. Susanna, who is a Board of Education member.
Thank you. I'm not here as a Board of Education member. First, I want to thank you for having me on this meeting, hopefully, tonight. But I think it'd be a great idea to come here and report out during meetings, just during public comment of what we're doing. really here to thank the clerk's office upstairs. Because, wow, I am a member of the Bridgewater Theater Arts Council, Bridgewater Theater Arts Council. We are the parent group for the high school theater program.
Might need to talk into the mic a little bit more.
I'm a parent with the Bridgewater Theater Arts Council. We are doing fundraising things for the theater program. And for the very first time, we got a gaming license from the state, which is very exciting. We have been planning to have a bingo in January as our first ever big fundraiser. We did not get our license in time. We moved to February when we got it, and then I learned how hard it is to make that happen. So then we moved to March. But I'm happy to say after about 12 trips to the clerk's office, and I think I know everybody there well, we had a successful fundraiser last Friday, and we are already planning next year. So I want to thank everybody in the office because I know they were tired of me. But then we picked up that license at 4 to 4 on Friday so that we could have our event at 6 o'clock on Friday. So thank you very much for letting us know. Thank you.
I already signed, so I'm good to go.
Still the state name.
First, Optimal 497 Milltown Road, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807. Just two really quick points. So for the Open Space Advisory Board, I don't know if I had already asked the council this, but would we be coordinating with the Parks Department or just straight up no to that? And then also, I was looking at the agenda, quick cap passed to my eye for my last name. My last letter is off by one letter. It's not an N, it's an M. So I just wanted to keep a good point on that, just to fix that type error or spelling error. That's it, pretty much. Thank you.
One noted in the meeting minutes also.
To answer your question, the other appointee is Alan Cordilla, who's a former councilman and probably knows everything and anything there is to know about open space. So I imagine any coordination, you'll be able to work with him and figure that out.
Okay.
But just to dispel any mystery, the Open Space Advisory Committee is I think, a very well named. There are instances where we have an opportunity to purchase open space, and that committee is an important way that information is gathered and perspectives are gained, and ultimately recommendations come back to us. We do have a small amount of money in our open space reserve. There was a period of time where there was a tax assessed, that tax sunset and was not approved for continuation. So that is a depleting fund, but there is still some money there. And, obviously the challenge that we have as a community is making sure that that limited amount of funds is spent as efficiently as possible.
It's also important to note that that is a committee that, when you talk about feedback, they will not come out and say, oh yeah, we're looking at these 3 properties. Because we don't, then all of a sudden you're negotiating against others. So it's the committee, when they're looking at properties, evaluating them, it's done behind the scenes because they don't want to get into a situation where now all of a sudden they're bidding against somebody who wants to buy that.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a necessary confidentiality with that. That committee has had times where it's been very active and times where it is not as active. It really just depends on what is available, out in the community where there is potentially a willing seller.
And they've come to this council before with recommendations, and the council has said yes to some and no to some. So.
I have a lot of confidence though with former Councilman Cordilla being on it, so hopefully it hasn't passed yet, but I assume he will. So,
Good evening. Hi, my name is Corey Garner, 1514 Washington Valley Road here in Bridgewater, 26-year resident here. An email was sent out on May the 9th to some members of the council here. It's
March 9th.
March 9th this year.
I think you mean March.
And basically, over the last 18, 20 years, we have been continually going back to the Works Department to come on out to our property. Basically, in 1989, there was an easement that was awarded by the Township of Bridgewater, running the entire length of our property on the west side. The easement originally was and 10 feet in width and 3 feet in depth. The easement now has eroded to such a state where it's 25 to 30 feet wide and in excess of 25 feet deep. It actually butts up against Washington Valley Road, so when people walk along Washington Valley Road in front of our house, they come to 10 feet of this. It's not an easement anymore, it's a crevice, right? It's danger. It's also expanded to such a width that it's now encroaching on the foundation of our house. We've reached multiple times to Bridgewater Township and to Somerset County Works Department. No one has come out to take a look. They kind of just point fingers both ways. The only response that I have got is, you can't do anything to that easement because it doesn't belong to you. So I'm kind of stuck now. In the actual award of the easement, I have copies of the paperwork. It states how the intention was that there was regular maintenance to be performed on this easement. None has taken place in the last 26 years that I have been. So I'm just here tonight to ask you if you can reach out to the Works Department. Like I said, the email was sent out on March the 9th. It was sent to Mr. William Burr and to the Works Department at Somerset. I could provide you with additional paper copies.
I saw the pictures.
Council Principal
Yeah, we saw the, I mean, I think
responded.
everybody saw the pictures. And, you know, I haven't seen the actual property, but I did see the pictures and,
And anybody who's willing to come out, I'm there. I'm fortunate that I work from home, so I can, accommodate that if somebody wishes to come take a look, or set an appointment, and, you can examine it for yourself, but,
do you have a copy of the easement?
I do have a copy.
But you don't have to give me your copy, but you could email me the easement.
Absolutely.
If you met with it all, Mr. Pappas?
Yeah, I did meet with Mr. Burr regarding this matter. It is under review by me and Mr. Burr. It was just the other day, and I think that's all I can say right now.
Yeah, I mean, any correspondence, let us know that even if it's under review, I don't have anything, so
I'm just telling you, I just
appreciate
heard about it. And I think there's some legalities here now that I've entered into it, which could affect how we move forward, and there's a county road involved as well, so it's not just the municipality, but again, I'm personally looking into it. That's about all I can say right now.
And just as an aside, on December 27th, there was an accident out front of my property. A car struck a pickup truck, a parked pickup truck, breached the gas tank, 30 gallons of gasoline released onto the street. It went to the far side of the road and managed to work its way down through the drainage system and back into this easement. Hazmat folks were up there. They had to scale down that night to try and mop it up. So it appears that the drainage in that area is not funneling away, stormwater or water on the streets correctly. I mean, it's placing it into this drainage easement. So
If you send me a copy of the easement, I will also get it to the township attorney so they can look at it, to see what the legal responsibility is for the town. If you're saying there might be some responsibility in the easement.
I mean, it states in there, I had legal counsel take a look at it, review it, compare law. They had sent a letter 2 years ago, and also requesting some action by the township and by Somerset County Works Department. I have not received it.
I don't want to take your only copy, but if you have other copies of it, if you want to give it to us, we can,
Yeah, I mean, sure. You can have copies of these letters, and I will send you, when I get home tonight, I will send you copies of the easement as well.
And what's the closest intersection? Is it Washington Valley Road?
Washington Valley Road and Cushing, between Long Road and Cushing,
Yeah, I can drive by and take a look.
we're on the south side.
oh, I know, I think I know that. I can almost picture it.
Yeah.
Long road.
Yeah, that's to get on the highway.
Yeah.
Would you see the paperwork here for you?
We can approach.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Are you, okay. Did you sign?
I did sign. Good evening, Council President. Good evening, council members. Just want to start by saying, I put on anonymous on there. I'm not required to give my name and address because we have freedom of speech. So as you're asking for my name and address, you're attempting to force my speech in that moment. I have a Fourth Amendment right to remain secure, not to show papers. And I do that as a public demonstration to remind everybody that we have freedom of speech.
Hang on one second.
Sorry, was I talking?
The Fourth Amendment doesn't apply. He's in an open public setting. He's not being detained in any way. For purposes of the minutes, we request that the members of the audience give their name. If he's not willing to do it, then it's, I think, up to the council president if they want to let him proceed with the call.
So let me just say this, a little bit of this issue has come up before, with people not wanting to give their addresses for lots of reasons. And we've solved that problem by saying, okay, write it down, but you don't have to say it. You don't have to speak your address.
Sure.
I'm gonna allow you to speak at this point, and you have 3 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. If I feel there's a problem, or, if there's any concern, we'll try to address it. But for now, you have 3 minutes. maybe
Madam
more.
President, just for perspective, may we ask if you're a Bridgewater resident?
I'm not a resident.
Thank you.
As a courtesy, I'll let you know that.
Thank you.
I want to start off by saying a couple of positive things that I've noticed. I like this meeting so far. This meeting is being ran well. I like that everybody participates during public comment. I think that's important. I like that we haven't really stuck to a strict 3-minute rule. I think it's great how members of the committee, members of the council, engage and speak and respond during the person's time at the podium or lectern. I think that's a good thing. I think 3 minutes is, not a lot of time for people to take the time out of the day. So I do so far see nothing but good things, and I get the sense that you all do care very much about your role and public service and stuff like that. And I know sometimes jobs like the clerk can be a thankless job, and I want to say thank you for what you do. Running township business is a good thing. And I want to start by saying the police here in Bridgewater, good men and women, law enforcement. I watched a video of the gentleman last year in March who had gotten into the motor vehicle accident on 22 when he hit a tanker truck and it caught on fire. And the actions of the officer was courageous and heroic for him to, go in there and pull this unconscious man out. I saw that, and I was, it gave me a good feeling about, law enforcement, and it's a great job to serve the public, whether you're someone in law enforcement or somebody on a council or committee or mayor, any of these things. I thought that was great. And then I recently had just read an article about a North Plainfield man who, that same man who was in that accident, was recently given a $15,000 bill for excessive, fire or hazardous cleanup. That had something to do with that was a tanker truck, and in the video, the gentleman who was driving the tanker truck said it was empty. And now, if that gentleman had, let's say he was drinking and driving, right? Premeditation to put other people's lives at risk, I wouldn't be here over that issue. Not at all. He pled guilty for improper lane change and seatbelt. And from my understanding, then after the fact, he was then footed with this $15,000 bill for this cleanup, which is an ordinance here in Bridgewater. And it just upset me to no end to read that, because I'm like,
Sir, did you have a chance to see the actual video of the discussion that the council had about this at the last meeting?
I didn't.
I would suggest to you that if you did, you might feel much more comfortable about the whole situation. And I don't know if our attorney or anyone else in the dais wants to comment, but we did discuss this at length.
You did?
We're all, oh yes,
Okay.
we're all very concerned about it.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Glad to hear that.
There is often insurance coverage for these types of, in other words, typically if you have insurance, the insurance will cover it, okay? We're investigating that at this point. The gentleman, the gentleman is not, it's a 99.99% assurance that he is not going to go to jail. Okay, so that's really off the table. And we are looking for ways to just work this out very amicably with him. And I don't know if council wants to comment any further. I don't know how well you were briefed on this.
No, I would invite you to watch the previous meeting where council directly addressed this. From a legal perspective, the matter remains pending in the discretion of our municipal prosecutor. And I would just point out that this is an ordinance that every municipality in the state of New Jersey has similar, what they call penalty enforcement ordinances, okay? And the process works out through the municipal court where the individual at issue resolves the matter with the municipal prosecutor, often in a way that's amicable and also supported by both parties, and the parties come to an arrangement. This specific issue, in my view, has been blown out of proportion and is not accurately reflected in the reporting. So I would suggest you go back and listen to the council meeting previously, and also, again, I'll reiterate that the ordinance in question is not a punitive ordinance towards our residents. It's a common penalty enforcement ordinance that the same language about accruing fines is found in dozens of sections of our code, whether it be our zoning ordinance, our towing ordinance. Similar language is found all the way through our code and the code of every other municipality in the state of New Jersey. So again, I would suggest you, and county, so I would suggest that you go back to the previous meeting and perhaps that will assuage your concerns.
When you're talking about reports, you mean like the article, the way it was written?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that was spoken at the last council meeting.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. All the council meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I am aware, and, you know, I have my cameras, I appreciate you letting me know that it's on YouTube, because you don't know, I may not have known. I film these meetings, I put them on my YouTube channel. Sometimes these videos will go in excess of 100,000 views or more. The Government Accountability and Transparency Advocate, and my main reason for being here was to thank the police, you know, for that officer who did a heroic, courageous act. Didn't have to, but he just sprung into action and saved that man's life, most likely. Which was a great look for the police department, a great look for the township. And when I read that article, I was like, this is not the America I know. You know, I mean, it's how I interpreted it with the minimal amount of information and understanding that I had of the situation. And I also want to say, through the chair to Councilwoman Isla, thank you for smiling at me when I came here. Obviously, you didn't recognize me, I'm not a resident, and that's warm, that's welcoming. Not that the others weren't welcoming, that's not to say that.
Oh, I was nervous.
I know, because the cameras should make people nervous, you know, I just document. The reason why I have YouTube channel is to empower people who have a voice, we all have voices. Come to your meetings, come to local government, take part, participate in council meetings, make your voice heard, address whatever your issues are, and this is how we change things. We change things for the better, you know, one township at a time. You know, that's the whole purpose. Obviously, as a Government Accountability and Transparency Advocate, you know, we highlight when rights are being violated and stuff like that, and thank you for allowing me to proceed. It's not a requirement under the United States Constitution to provide your name and address under the limited public forum at council. That's been speaking in meetings ever since 2017
You have about 30 seconds left, just in the interest of time. I don't want to cut you off. You're saying all these nice things, so, I want you to keep going with that.
We could have said that if I started saying some negative things, but no, I'm here mostly to just be appreciative to the process and stuff like that. Lost my train of thought for a minute, just let me just wrap it up. And, I guess, the other thing too is, to address what Council President said in the beginning about, behavior and stuff like that, decorum at meetings and everything like that. It's a fair request, ask people to behave, to be respectful. I'm not one to use swear words or call people out and call them names. You lose the effectiveness for members of the public if you're trying to get them on board with,
Right, you do.
what you're trying to say, what your points are that you're trying to make. You lose half the people the second you drop an F-bomb or whatever. With that being said, if someone does decide to call names, they're allowed to, right? It happens, right? And then they kind of, maybe look a certain way for speaking like that. When the council's responding in that manner, then you now have created a conflict, an unnecessary conflict. When people come here and speak and behave in the manner that they do, right? We'll have free agency to ourselves. We just let them speak the way they want to. If they want to say bad things and everything like that, you let them look bad, And it's a really easy solution. So
Is
with
there
that,
anything else?
no, I was just about to wrap it up. Does the mayor come to these meetings or no anymore?
When you can.
When you can, okay. All right, thank you, Council President. Thank you.
Child's in the school play, so.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd be there too. All right, thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Committee members, and shout out to Bridgewater Police, and
Chief's in the back, you need a shout out to him.
shout out Chief, and thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council?
Seeing no one, move to close public comment.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on, we have an introduction of an ordinance. An ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending Chapter 182 of the Bridgewater Township Code to require snow and ice removal from private roadways servicing multifamily residential developments. Can I have a motion to introduce the ordinance?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Well,
We need a
can
roll
we
call
have
for that.
can we have discussion?
Yeah. Well, just we're just introducing. Do you want to discussion after? Go ahead.
All right, so we're not staying for the whole meeting. So that was pretty positive. I'll have to watch that meeting to check out what they said and everything like that. Yeah, those meetings ain't too bad. I'm not gonna nitpick. There's plenty of things I could nitpick about. But overall, I like when they kind of conversate and answer questions and speak and respond, when they respond to people. These towns that do this whole, it's not a question and answer period. Come on, says who? The person at the podium gets to determine how these minutes are spent. If you want to spend your time allowing them to answer, that's on you, So I like what I saw so far with the meeting, the way it's being conducted. I thought that was a little weird when the township attorney started trying to play games about giving my name and address. I was like, wow, is this going to be the night that someone challenges me and tries to bar me from my First Amendment right to speak at the podium? These municipalities in New Jersey, by law, they're mandated to have a public portion for comments, right? Now they have it's a limited forum. They can put restrictions on it like time limits or, what have you, but you can't restrict the speech, and I certainly don't have to identify who I am, right? And I wasn't there to, nitpick or point, kind of pick anyone apart or anything like that. As much as, the whole point of this channel is to empower other people to take part in local government, and we highlight, when people violate our rights. We also, here on this channel, we want to highlight when people do the right things and stuff. And I'm going to make a video that will incorporate my public speaking from tonight of the body camera of the officer who sprung into action and saved that man's life. So I'm not gonna lie, guys. Sometimes I really look for opportunities to praise law enforcement or people on councils when they do the right thing. Sometimes I'm searching real deep, for it. So I was happy to come here and thank the Bridgewater police for that officer's actions. And then when I read in the paper that this gentleman was being fined $15,000, I'm like, this is not the America I understand. This is not the America that I grew up in. This is not the America I want to live in. I don't know this guy, this North Plainfield resident. Now, as a courtesy, when the councilman asked me if I was a resident, I have no problem saying I'm not a resident. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm 100% proud of who I am, what my name is, what I stand for. But as a public demonstration to members of the public to remind people and refresh everyone's memory that we have rights. We don't have to identify yourself. That lawyer started to say that the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply. I have to watch this video back. I have to watch that back because as that's happening in real time or whatever, I'm like, is this going to be the first attorney who's going to try to bar me from my First Amendment right? Why they have to legally require a public portion for members of the public to speak? You're going to legally tell me I can't talk? Thankfully, right? Because I'm not looking for them to do the wrong thing. Just fucking do the right thing. Have the procedures, run smoothly and stuff like that. Allow me to be recognized and allow me to speak. I even have a problem using the word allowed. I can't use that word because nobody's allowing nothing, right? But they saw the cameras when I got there. I had both cameras. I had that one. I had this one. And they got very nervous. That's why the council president said, listen, just so you know, we have a YouTube channel and we're posting this live, this and that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The camera is accountability, right? So when people see the camera and they act in that certain way, it tells you a lot. Just in that instance, it's another way of basically saying could you please turn both of your cameras off? It's not necessary. You're going to have everything documented, on this meeting because we film it ourselves. Yeah, well, I record with 2 cameras. Cameras are dangerous. That's it. I come here armed with my camera and armed with my voice. That's how we do things, baby. Oh, I'm going to have to tell you guys this right now. So you guys know the Raynone Coughlin Mincello law firm. This is the law firm that I've been fighting with for the last few years, trying to expose them for their unconstitutional decorum ordinances, whether it be Edison and the flag ban, or whether it be Plainfield and the singing ban, or the silence ban, right? This is all Raynone, the Raynone Coughlin Mincello law firm, right? Craig Coughlin, for those of you who don't know, who are not from New Jersey, is the Speaker of the Assembly. So he's the third guy, right, in the Democratic machine money of New Jersey. So this guy, his law firm is the worst law firm. They're the ones who are making all these unconstitutional decorum issues, So that law firm is getting sued by a gentleman named Alan Levy from Rahway. And the best part about it is the stuff from the flag ban in Edison and the decorum shit in Plainfield, both of those things, the work that I involved myself in and that I was at the center of the core of all the excitement, both of those instances are in the lawsuit that this guy is suing the law firm about. To give supporting evidence to how this law firm silences people's rights, silences critics, stifles the First Amendment, he used both examples in his lawsuit from Edison and Plainfield. And I seen this article and I read that and I was like, bam, dude, I've been trying to get the ACLU on this law firm's ass for years. But the ACLU finally is taking on this guy, Alan Levy's case from Rahway. So now, and I watched Alan speak at the last meeting on YouTube, and he was directly referencing the law firm's actions of trying to silence me, right? So that's always exciting because you get to see things develop and things progress. And I'm watching a guy speak and stuff after I read the article. I went and watched the video, and I'm like, this is great. The guy even says at one point, the more you tell the public they can't sing, they're going to sing louder and longer. It's like, yes, this is great. So fucking Coughlin Law Firm, man. Coughlin Law Firm, Craig Coughlin might even be one of the people, one of the 13 watching right now. But he's the Speaker of the House. And I see him and I see David Mincello on Facebook all the time under people you may know. After I go to the meeting, like I swear to God, when I get home tonight, I'll go on Facebook just randomly. I'll pull it up and it'll be people you may know. David Mincello, Craig Coughlin, like right away, which means they're looking at your account. They're spying on your account. That's Facebook giving you an indication that you may know these people because they were just fucking spying on your page. And it all happens all the time or whatever. So it sounds like the Raynon Coughlin Mincello law firm is under hot water, and they may finally pay the price for all their unconstitutional ordinances, their decorum issues and stuff like that. So that's that. Oh, and my latest video on Cranford is up to where they banned the national anthem is up to, I think, 60,000 right now. It's been climbing like a few thousand every hour. It's like spiking today. My one video in Cranford is at 102,000, and the last one is at, I think, probably over 60 now. So, yeah, so these Cranford videos are getting a lot of attention. People are watching them. They're very outraged. The 100,000 video had 1.8 thousand comments, and the other one that's at like 60,000 right now has like 1.3 thousand comments, and they're just eviscerating the committee, eviscerating the council, the mayor, the whole freaking. They're getting it, man. They're getting it. They're taking it hard. They're taking it hard. So I'm glad about that. Glad people are paying attention. Glad I took the time out to come to Bridgewater. I'm glad they don't take. I'm glad they're not strict on the 3 minutes. You know, I do think that they cut me off a little shorter than the rest of the people. You guys saw the whole meeting. That first lady spoke for like 10 minutes, you know, and I didn't want to like pose my issues in a way to make it sound like, you know, well, you gave her 10 minutes. It's good that they gave her 10 minutes. Give everybody 10 minutes. Give everybody an adequate amount of time to speak at these meetings, because when they come to these meetings, they feel that these people have failed them as a representation. So when you feel like your elected officials have failed you of representation, your time to come and put it on the public record is during a council meeting. So that's why I do this. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I started the channel, man. I've been doing meetings since 2017 regularly. Started this channel to empower people, other people to take part in local government, take part in your council meetings. You heard me tell them why. And yes, we're going to expose people when they violate our rights, and we're going to congratulate those when they do the right thing. We got to create that balance. You know what I mean? We want to win everybody over, right? That's the whole point. We want to win everybody over. That's why I said I don't curse. I cursed at the last Cranford meeting because I was so disgusted after they banned the Star Spangled Banner. So I cursed. That was one of maybe like 4 meetings that I've cursed at. But I've been going to meetings regularly since 2017. And I just recently started my channel like over a year ago. And I'm glad I did, because now my message and my voice expands to that much more people. So that's about it. Gio, my brother. Love Gio. Doing some great shit down in Florida. Been watching him for a minute. It's cold. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out, watching the meeting with me. Like I always said, man, I go to a lot of these meetings by myself. But when I bring the camera and I see you guys popping up on the chat and stuff like that, the chat just keeps moving as I'm watching the meeting. I'm like with my crew, I'm like with my family. You know, that's what it feels like. So you guys always have my 6. I appreciate that. And we're not going to be stopping this anytime soon, man. You know, nothing in life is forever. Everything is like, you know, ever changing and stuff like that over time. But we're not stopping what we're doing anytime soon. It is empowering to come to these meetings and speak up and just have them know that you don't give a shit, man. I got my arms around the chairs, you know, like we chilling like it's our living room. We're behaving like it's our living room, like it's us in our living room. So that was pretty good. They were pretty positive about some of the stuff I said. And hopefully the next time someone comes in here and drops an F-bomb, they just let it happen and stop trying to fucking, you know, stop it. Because then that's when you create conflict. It's that simple. Somebody wants to curse. Somebody wants to act a fool. You allow them to. You don't try to stop them and match their foolishness, you know? And that's exactly right, Gio. It's our house, baby. That's what this is, man. These meetings belong to the public. That council room belongs to we the people. You know, oh, I forgot to thank the residents. I like to do that when I come to a town I've never been in before. This is the first time I've been to Bridgewater, but I'd like to thank the residents, you know, for, You know, I have no problem using the word allowed. I'll use it then, even though no one's allowing me to do anything. I have the right to do it. But I always say, you know, thank you for the residents for allowing me to speak at your meeting, at your public meeting, you know, which also reiterates the fact that these meetings and this whole process and stuff like that doesn't belong to them. They're just the ones who are representing the people. So with that being said, shout out to all of you. Thank you all for hanging out in the chat. Look forward to some new videos that are going to be coming out. Got a lot of stuff I got to do in terms of editing, producing. A couple of videos will be coming out in the next couple of days. Love all of you. Thank you all. Freedom.